Welcome back to another reaction video. I'm gonna call this more than reaction videos. I'm gonna start calling these videos like hot takes from my end, not necessarily the reaction videos that I mean the videos that I react to are not the hot takes, are my takes. Um but yeah, welcome to another video. I'm going to be reacting to more commentaries and more from YouTubers on the gaming industry. On today's video, what I'm gonna be reacting is to a Young Yeah video that's titled "Publishers are already thinking about charging $80 to $100 for games." I'm very interested in listening to what Young Yeah has to say about this. I haven't seen the video. This is like a completely blind reaction, as usual. I try to be like that. Um, well, thinking about that, what I do here, one of the things is this is completely unscripted, as you can tell. I mean, this is completely like I'm just swinging it. So that's why these videos end up being very long, because I just talk and talk and talk. And I just want to be clear that usually what I do is I don't watch the videos. I watch the headline, the title of the video. If it gets my attention, I automatically open OBS, start recording, and if it ends up being a good video, in my opinion, then I upload. If not, if I don't have an interesting take that would interest me, or I feel like I have nothing to offer as a piece of content, in my personal reaction and opinion, then I just delete it and don't post it. So that's my whole process with these reactions. And my main purpose with these reactions is that I see so much commentary and so much toxic commentary and video game wokeness, what I'm calling video game or gamers wokeness. And I just want to call it out because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the community being so toxic, it's so intolerant, and so negative towards the gaming industry. I know the gaming industry has its flaws. I know publishers and developers make mistakes and do sometimes they all actually do stuff that are not consumer friendly and hurt us as gamers. But that's not always the case. And what happens is the internet and YouTubers and content creators monetize, capitalize on that without, and now even before it happens, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily happens. It's just they right off the bat they see the opportunity to create a video, a clickbait clickbaity video, to generate views and monetize and capitalize on it, and they just start talking a lot of shit. And I think that hurts a lot the gaming industry more than it helps. I know that maybe they see it at, well, they obviously want to capitalize on it, and I don't blame them. But but also I think they don't do it intentional, and that's actually why I want to call it out. Intentional, the fact that they hurt the gaming industry is what I'm saying. um Enough of an intro about this. Let's just watch this video and see if I have a hot take. And I call it hot take because I know that people are so used to listening to these commentaries that they feel so pro gamer, um that they don't want to listen to what I have to say. But let's see.
Let's talk about the prospective future of video games where price hikes may very well be in the not so distant future. So, games have
Okay.
already gone from $60 to $70. And if I recall,
But before we get into this, I want to ask whoever is watching this video, if you, if anyone is watching, what are your thoughts on video games going from 60 to 70? Leave your comments below. I want to see what your perspective is, your own criteria, not what a YouTuber has to say about it, but I want to listen to you, the gamer, the audience. What do you think about that price? Sorry, that price increase. I'm not gonna say anything from my end. Um, that's all I'm gonna ask. Thank you.
this first began happening sort of mid 2020
Yeah, I remember
when
this.
Take-Two, in the form of NBA 2K21, decided to be what I believe the first AAA game to start charging $70
Yeah,
instead of $60.
I
And
remember.
once other publishers realized that we're ready to make that the new normal, because NBA 2K21 still ended up selling well after the
Yep.
price hike, this began the trend of other publishers one by one going, all of our games from now on will be $70, or certain select games that we deem to be, high budget enough and AAA enough will be $70. Even Nintendo with Tears of the Kingdom.
I don't think that happens. That happened because one. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but I think that $70 spike conversation happened way before 2K came out with NBA 2K, whatever, 2020, um with a $70 price tag. The whole conversation about $70 games started right when we were starting the new generation of consoles. And it wasn't 2K who, I mean, maybe 2K was the first to release a game that was $70. Um, but 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 that conversation was happening way before that, and maybe 2K wasn't necessarily like an influence on everyone, but a early adopter of the idea, and that doesn't surprise me at all. Um, that $70 price tag was something that all publishers had contemplated before 2K. I wanna think. I think mm, I'm gonna say I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
They decided to make that game $70. And so, where do we go from here? Is that going to be the standard for a while? Well, I think publishers, at the very least, contemplating the move to raise that ceiling again to 80, maybe up to $100 if recent activity and surveys are anything to go by.
Okay, here we are with the whole Blizzard survey thing. I don't know if I did a reaction about this before. I may have. I don't remember. But as a marketing person, I work in marketing and I work in advertising. A research doesn't necessarily mean that's the reality that's going to happen. Like, we all know that Blizzard sent out he's probably going to mention that. Yeah, let me just leave him speak and then provide my perspective and point of view.
So, right here, we
I do think I know where this is going. That's why I started talking, but let me just let him talk.
have a report detailing how Blizzard has been sending out surveys
Yeah.
asking if players would be fine spending $100 on not even like a full-size AAA game, but on a DLC specific.
Okay, so this is what infuriates me is that it's not a lie that Blizzard sent out that survey. Now, what really infuriates me is how this headline misconstrued the actual news, right? The survey was sent out. But have you ever taken a survey of any kind? Have you ever taken a survey? As marketers, you will ask questions that, first of all, that may be completely hypothetical, right? And the answers that you give sometimes are, how can I explain this? I'm sorry, my English, I'm running out of English. Like, they might have, they included $100 as an option, yes, as an option for gamers to say if they will pay up to $100 for a DLC. That doesn't mean they're contemplating selling the game for $100. right? What they are studying is what would the response be? What would be a price that gamers are willing to pay for their DLC? And included in those answers, options for the audience to answer, we marketers very often will include absurd options there. Completely absurd. Just to see, because it's a research. You're researching the market. You're researching the market. Now, that doesn't mean that in that survey all prices were very friendly. And this is my own personal opinion now, because before what I was explaining about a survey and marketing and research, it's something that happens. It's not my opinion. It's something that objectively happens. And those surveys, it's don't be surprised if surveys have stupid questions, and don't be surprised if surveys have stupid, absurd options for you to answer, because that's completely intentional, and that doesn't mean that the market is going to move in that direction, or they are going to start selling. First of all, because they know that most likely no one will respond $100, right? But they need that data to actually say no one wants to pay $100. That's what happens, right? You do need the data of what people are willing to pay, and you need the data of what people are not willing to pay. And that's why this type of options in those surveys are included. Now, that's not my opinion. That's that's just marketing, and that's just research. So these YouTubers don't even know about marketing and start talking as if they know, and start teaching. They start teaching publishers and corporations how to do marketing, and they don't even know what they're saying. They don't even know what they're talking about. Now, that's not my opinion. My opinion now regarding that survey that Blizzard sent out is that they started the price point at $50. Now, in my opinion, that's high for a DLC. The I would pay at most $40 for a DLC. I wouldn't pay more than $40 if you ask me. And $40 is still something that I like, ooh, I'll think about it, right? Maybe not think about it, because I'm a Diablo 4 player. I love Diablo 4, and pretty much I'm gonna pay the $40 for a DLC if it's for $30. Now, if it's over $40, I'll probably wait for a discount. Even though I'm not a streamer, but I stream, and I will be, not happy if I can't stream day one the DLC. But if it's over $40, I will start to consider it, not waiting a little bit. I think a DLC, depending on how big it is, like I play Destiny 2. And if you know Destiny, Forsaken, that DLC, that expansion, um I don't remember how much I paid for it, but if it was $40, yeah, I'm completely there. Now, if we're talking about Shadowkeep for $40, I wouldn't be there, right? So let's see what the DLC or the expansion for Diablo 4 is gonna be. Because if it's gonna be a lot of stuff, a lot of updates, a lot of reworking the game, a lot of new features, a lot of new activities, a lot of new, there's a new class. I mean, if it's a lot of stuff, then, well, we can start considering the price. But right off the bat, $50 for me it's too much. It's too much for a DLC.
Specifically a Diablo 4 DLC. This was apparently spotted by YouTuber Bellular News, who saw this survey and reported on it. The survey presented 4 game editions labeled A to D with price points at $50, $70, $80, and $100. Now, this is a survey. It doesn't necessarily mean this is a defined
Also, also, here's one thing that is not fair, that is not good. Here's one thing. If I want players, if I want my data to reflect that player wants to, that player, how can I say this? Okay, if I want my data out of the survey to say something specific, I would make all of the answers completely absurd, but one. And I don't know if I'm phrasing or explaining myself in the best way. I apologize for my maybe my barrier in language, but I wouldn't be surprised if Activision Blizzard what wants here is to manipulate its audience to vote or to select $50, which is the lower cost, which is obviously what most people are going to pick, right? And then make the other options 70, 80, 100, which no gamer it's going to pick probably. I mean, the possibilities of a gamer picking $70 for a DLC when they paid $70 for the game, it's just not, it's not going to happen. So if I wanted to sell, if I wanted to make a case of selling the game or the DLC for $50, I would do a survey like this, in which the $50 price point is the lowest price that I'm offering as an option. Now, the survey here is going to be probably 90%, 90 plus percent in the $50 option. Now, what happens here is that the data says this is what players will want to pay for this game. Is that fair? No, that's not fair. But that's not what we're talking about here. What these people are saying is that Blizzard now wants to sell games for $100 or DLCs for $100, which is worse. And what I'm explaining here is not, it's not a lot better, but it's, I think that when a headline says Activision Blizzard now wants to sell games for $100 because of this survey, that's misconstrued and that's misinformation. Now, that doesn't mean that the real intention of that survey is good, but still, it's misinformation in my opinion. And that's actually why I make these.
Future, but the fact that the option is there means that there is at the very least some semblance of consideration for that price point, or some kind of contemplation for the normalization of game prices being even above $70 for the base game, not even the higher editions. And if it was just Blizzard alone, I would just chalk this up to Blizzard being Blizzard or Activision being Activision. But other companies have also been trying to like poke the bear on
Really?
that front. Sony and PlayStation, for example, you may recall that recently they experienced an unfortunate hack that has led to Insomniac information, details, game files, and whatnot making its way to the internet. This was a nefarious hack, straight up.
Let me see. The PlayStation might be planning to increase game prices from $70 to 80 and $100 in 2027. This comes from a hack that Sony suffered, where it shows they project games will be that expensive by 2027. That's interesting.
Game files and whatnot making its way to the internet. This was a nefarious hack, straight up just a crime from a hacker who engaged in ransomware. And when Insomniac and Sony and PlayStation refused to pay the ransom, that stuff was leaked, and we saw, leaks for a build even for Wolverine alongside, the game files for Spider-Man 2. And we even saw like the schedule for upcoming releases like Ratchet and Clank and X-Men and stuff like that. So that was an unfortunate situation. But alongside that came a leak surrounding future plans to increase game prices. Among the things that PlayStation is thinking about is potentially planning to increase game prices from $70 to $80 to $100 in 2027. Now, keep in mind that just because those conversations are happening behind the scenes doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually what's going to end up happening.
Thank you. Thank you. That doesn't take from the fact that that if that it's real that was there, because again, this is just a tweet, okay? And I'm not trying to pull strings here in a sense, like trying to justify my point of view. But that tweet isn't a lot of proof, right? It's not the same saying like a tweet, oh, Sony, we saw like a tweet of someone saying, hey, so I saw the leaked documents, and they're saying that they're going to increase the price. Okay, where's that? Where is that? Because that information was leaked, right? So we should be able to see it because it was leaked. Where is it? It's not the same like when these other guys were, I don't know if you know the drama, the completionist drama, but they actually showed the documents and they actually showed that this organization wasn't donating the money, the completion. If you don't know about this case, just Google it. You're gonna or search on YouTube, look for the completionist, I don't know, fraud, and you're gonna find plenty of what's going on with that. But to make that long story short, I mean, it's a YouTuber accusing another YouTuber of fraud through charity. Like they're collecting money for charity and they didn't actually donate the money. The money was sitting in the bank. Okay, but all of these accusation, if I may call it an accusation, was supported by documents. Like they showed, hey, here are the tax papers, here's where it says they never donated the money, etc. So that's better, that's good. But when you tell me, oh, Sony is contemplating of increasing the money from 80 to 100, and your source is a tweet, I don't know if, and it could be right, it could be true, and that's fine if it's true. And that I'm not going to be happy. Again, I'm not here in support of publishers. I'm not here in support of, a Sony or any other publisher who Activision Blizzard who wants to screw us. I'm just here in support of the gamer. I'm supporting gamers to get the right information and accurate information and the truth, not sensationalism from these YouTubers who just want to generate clicks.
Happening, but the thought process of it is still there. It is something that is being considered. And
how do you know? Show me. How do you know? These are the things, like accusations after accusations based on, nothing, out of thin air. Oh, these people just they are contemplating this and they are going to screw us. I mean, eventually prices in games are going to increase. That's not, it's just going to happen. Actually, the increase to $70 was arguably overdue. So, I mean, it's just how things work. Back in the day, I mean, it's not fair, I'm going to say. And it's, in many instances, it's due to it may be in some instances it may be due to unfair situations, even corruption, but I need proof. I need proof, not just like opinions and empty accusations. If you're gonna make an accusation, I mean, if you're gonna play the role of a journalist, you better get your proof and your facts straight.
2027 is not that far away. It's only 3 years away.
Yeah,
Now, by
that's true.
2027, that would be roughly around the end of this generation of consoles. Usually, console generations tend to be 5 to 7 years. So that'd be sort of towards the end of PS5's
Okay.
lifespan. So maybe the plan is with the next generation of consoles, with PlayStation 6 and whatever the next Xbox might be, the goal might be to standardize an $80 to $100 price point for games. It seems as though that is in the talks, and it's not just one company. It's multiple companies who are either sending out surveys or discussing such plans behind the scenes.
I don't, you know something? That could be a possibility. I'm not going to take away that from a potential truth here. That might be a possibility. Now, one possibility that I'm thinking of, if I were a marketing or an executive, and I'm not smart enough to know that or to come up, I'm not smart enough to be in those positions, I'm gonna say, maybe. But yeah, that could be a potential truth. But why not mention that another potential truth that's a little bit more positive? Why not ask questions instead of making accusations? For example, could it be that publishers are contemplating the possibility of different tiers of pricing depending on the scale of the game? Maybe that's something, right? Because I don't think that the production, I mean the budget, production, everything of a game like God of War is the same as the production and scale of what game? The Prince of Persia that just came out, right? And Prince of Persia that just came out is $50, and a God of War is $70, right? Wouldn't it be unfair if you had to pay $70 for that Prince of Persia game? I think it's actually unfair if we paid $70 for remakes. So, what I'm trying to say here, what if what they are contemplating is having different price points depending on the actual game, right? What if that's what they are contemplating? Maybe the rock bottom is going to be 60, $70, and then there are going to be, unfortunately, maybe games that will go up to 80 and go up to 100. Now, I would prefer that because, again, it's inevitable that games eventually are going to be increasing in price, especially if we gamers are always demanding more graphics, more, production value, more content, more activities, more hours of gameplay, more and more and more and more everything, right? Prices are going to go up. And don't tell me like, oh, I don't care about graphics. Yeah, we don't care about graphics until one game comes out with bad graphics. Like, look at Starfield. I'm not defending Starfield. I'm not going to defend Starfield. For me, Starfield is not a great game. It's just a good game, in my opinion. But I don't stop hearing people complaining about the facial animations in Starfield. Oh well, I mean, didn't you say before that you don't care about graphics? But now it's a big problem because Starfield doesn't have great facial animations. Oh, it's crap. Look at the animation in that game. So stop the bullshit. That's what I'm trying to say. Stop the bullshit. And if we don't know what's happening, I would prefer you, young yeah, if you're gonna play the role of a journalist, right? Why don't you first of all show real proof, not like a tweet or a sensationalist website that probably you just picked because it supports your agenda here, right? Why don't you, I don't know, get an interview with an executive and ask these questions. What's happening? I think you're big enough to kind of try to do something like that. I'm I'm probably sure that you have some sort of connection with these publishers. You probably get like codes, review codes, and they send you stuff, for you to try before the game launches. And all that. I mean, you might have some sort of connection with publishers. If you don't, well, I'm just talking shit here, right? But I mean, if I were in your position, that's what I would be thinking of. Trying to actually get to, if I'm going to play the role of a journalist, right? I'm going to go deep into the issue and investigate and even try to interview these executives and ask this type of questions. But you don't do that. You just show us stupid headlines in a website. You cherry pick the portions of the article that supports your agenda or your message or your intention. A tweet is not a proof. I mean, you're hurting the gaming industry. You're because a lot of people are a lot of people come out of this video convinced that what this guy is saying is completely true. Oh, they want to charge us $100. Fuck them. When that's probably not what's happening. It's like propaganda against gaming.
And then there are publishers who haven't directly said that they plan to increase game prices, but have put opinions out there that game prices are too low and that the value is too good almost. So, for example, here we have Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two, the company behind, Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, under the umbrella of Take-Two is Rockstar Games, as well as 2K. When speaking to investors back in November of 2023, here's a quote that was transcribed by news outlet Rock Paper Shotgun. Our frontline prices are still very, very low because we offer many hours of engagement. The value of the engagement is very high, so I think the industry as a whole offers a terrific price-to-value opportunity for consumers. There's a great deal of value offered, and look, it's our strategy here to deliver much more value.
Okay, so he picked certain things to read, but I'm going to read the whole thing. I mean, not the whole thing because it's what I see on screen, right? But you'll see that that bears out in every kind of entertainment vehicle, Selnick went on. I don't know the context of that. By that standard, our frontline prices are very low. By the standard of every kind of entertainment vehicle, I guess, that doesn't necessarily mean that the industry has pricing power or wants to have pricing power, he added. However, there's a great deal of value offered
than what we charge consumers.
Wait. There's a great deal of value offered, and look, it's our strategy here to deliver much more value than what we charge consumers. It's always been our strategy here. We want to make sure the experience is first class, and the nature of the experience is not just the quality of what we offer, it's also what we pay for it. Yes, Sonic continue. Everyone knows that anecdotally. So that's how we look at it. There have been precious few price increase in the business. The price increase, for example, that $70 for certain frontline products was the first price increase in many years after many generations. And that's true. So again, I think we offer a terrific value to consumers. Selnick, it's far from the only multimillionaire executive who thinks blockbuster commercial games are considerably underpriced.
And look, it's our strategy here to deliver much more value than what we charge consumers. There have been precious few price increases in the business. The price increase, for example, the $70 for certain frontline products was the first price increase in many years after many generations. So again, I think we offer a terrific value to consumers. And while Strauss Zelnick tries to present this in the form of, wow, doesn't gaming just have great value? For me, there is sort of an underlying meaning where when you read between the lines, it's him saying that games are too cheap. And on some level, he would likely like to see games increase in price point beyond $70. And do keep in mind that Take-Two was among the first, if not the first, on a large AAA scale to begin selling games at $70, which created this domino effect where other companies decided to join in once they saw that one publisher got away with it. And I think the scary part is that if Take-Two really wanted to sell certain games, like say Grand Theft Auto 6 at $80 to $100 even, they could probably get away with it because it's freaking Grand Theft Auto. In fact,
how much money will Take-Two spend in Grand Theft Auto 6, GTA 6? You know, the economics of this is much more complex than what that article says, what Young Yeah says and thinks. It's much more complex than that. Again, I wouldn't want to pay more than $70 for GTA 6, even though I'm not gonna play GTA 6. I don't like GTA. I don't play those kind of games, but I wouldn't want to pay more than $70-$60 for GTA 6. I understand that, but I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm gonna be here making accusations without, without any proof, without any substance, just because I just don't want to pay $70, more than $70 for the game. Oh, this company is toxic. This company just wants to milk my money. Oh, they are greedy and they are bad. And no, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Could be, but I'm not gonna sit here and make accusations because I have feelings. Especially if I'm gonna play the role of a journalist like our friend here.
There's already online activity showing that certain people are like, I'm actually fine with GTA 6 costing $100.
And that's one important thing here also that we should include, and is that we gamers and consumers have a lot of power on these kind of stuff because we are the ones who purchase. So if they come up with games like here's one thing, like we talk about these publishers, these prices, the microtransactions, the games being gaming as a service and all that. We talk about all of it as if we have to play those games. Like Grand Theft Auto 6, it's like, oh fuck, now I have to pay $100 to play GTA 6. I don't have to. Oh fuck, now I have to play Kill the Justice League as a gaming as a game as a service. Oh fuck, now I'm gonna play a game with a season pass. Oh shit, now I have to pay microtransaction for this game. You don't have to. You don't have to play all the games that come out. If the game isn't for you, just don't play it. And this is what really bothers me about these content creators talking about marketing and talking about, they don't understand what gamers want, and they don't understand their audiences, and that they do understand we don't understand. Gamers don't understand. We're the ones who don't understand. Nobody's forcing us to buy the games. Nobody's telling us we have to play all the games. Games just come out. And it's a free market. If we want to play it, we play them. Here's what it is. Here's what it is. It's a single player game with no microtransactions, and it's for $70. You want to play it? Yeah. You don't want to play it? No. That's it. That's how it works. Now, what they're going to be doing as publishers is, okay, let's see our sales. Our projection was 40,000 copies in the first week. How many did we sell for $70? How many did we sell? 100,000. We're doing pretty good. Okay, game stays at $70. Keep on rolling. And that's how it works. And same thing with okay, here comes Suicide Squad. It's a game as a service. It's gonna be a live service, and it has a season pass. People are acting as if, oh, now I gotta play this game that is a live service. This sucks. It's like, you don't have to play it. You don't have to play it. You are not part of the audience for that game. Oh shit, it has a season pass. I hate that crap. You are not the game's audience. Just don't play it. And no publisher, no developer is forced to do otherwise. They just come up with a product, put it out there, see what happens.
And some folks agreeing with it. There's also plenty of disagreement. I mean, that is a huge price hike, $70 to $100. That's $30 extra for a game. And look, GTA 6.
I'm sorry for GTA 6 players.
Technologically is going to be on a whole new level.
Yeah, probably.
Its budget, I think it's rumored to be around $1 billion to $2 billion. It is a super high budget game, but even if sold at $70, it can make its money back and then some, because this game is going to sell insanely well. But beyond that, there is going to be the GTA Online offering, which is going to be, near infinitely monetizable for many years to come if GTA 5's online mode is anything to go by. So this is a company that doesn't really need to charge $100 for Grand Theft Auto.
It's a company who, he just explained the economics of Grand Theft Auto in 10 seconds, and he claims that this company doesn't need to charge $100. Again, I'm not defending the $100 price tag, but I have to complain about, these type of, what's his, what is he basing his conclusion on? A very basic, superficial things. First of all, he doesn't know if $100 is gonna be the game is gonna be $100. Second of all, how does he know? He just said that the budget for this game is probably $1 billion to $2 billion. The budget for the game, and then he follows that statement saying this company doesn't need to charge $100 for the game. I don't know. I've never heard of a game that's worth that had a budget of $1 billion. I just haven't. Now I'm not defending the $100 price tag, and I'm not gonna say that it's justified. What I'm trying to say here is, you have no clue. This guy doesn't have any clue. He's not presenting compelling information or data to actually give us this conclusion, but he still says it, and still a lot of people are gonna watch this video and are going to just jump in that boat without any information, just like ideologically, like, gamers wokeness. That's how I call it. It's just an ideology.
6, but could do it and could likely get away with it. I don't think that's actually what's going to happen. There are rumors that this could be something Take-Two would or might do.
Thank you.
But I personally think it is going to sell at $70. But the thought of, like, they could probably do $100, and if they were to do that, other corporations and other publishers might be like, "Ooh, well, they pulled it off. Maybe we should try it too." Contemplate.
Now let's have something clear, that there's probably going to be an edition that's more than $100, and a lot of people are gonna pay for that. A lot of people are gonna pay for that. Like this survey. Now that I'm thinking, this survey conversation, they do it actually with the releases of games, where they have the base game for $70, and then they have a deluxe edition for $90, and then they have the ultimate edition for $100, and then they have the I Come Fast edition for $160. Is it better to send out a survey, or is it better to just do it that way? And people do buy the now, of course, they get much more than just the base game. They got some cosmetics, which people complain also that the game has cosmetics, but yeah, okay. They get cosmetics, and some instances they get like a collector's edition with a figurine or something. Yeah, that's fine. But there's probably gonna be a $100+ edition of GTA.
Playing the standardization of games that cost more than $70 and that being the base price, and that change happening so quickly after the price increase from $60 to $70. I don't know, man. I'm not about that. Even Capcom has come out and said back in September of 2023
Oh, I
that
remember
game
this.
prices are too low. This is something that Capcom president Haruhiro Sugimoto said during Tokyo Game Show, stating that game prices are too low. Development costs are about 100 times higher than during the Famicom era, but software prices have not gone up that much. There's also a need to raise wages, considering the fact that wages are rising in the industry as a whole. I think raising unit prices is a healthy option for businesses. Just because there's a
Okay, let's read the whole thing, right? So Yamato further explained that even a recession or society's low general confidence in the business world shouldn't matter when it comes to game prices, saying that those factors have little to do with the gaming industry and that people still bought games even during the Lehman Brothers stock collapse in 2008. Just because, yeah, I remember the recession. Actually, during the recession, people bought more games. Like the gaming industry grew so much due to the recession of 2008, and the reason was because people preferred paying $60 for a game that they will spend maybe more than a month playing, right? Instead of paying, $20 or more. How much would it be? I don't know, 20 to $30 to go, let's say to go to the movies and watch a movie, popcorn, parking, maybe a soda, and the ticket may sum up to $30 for 2 hours, right? I mean, people will prefer to pay $60 to play, endless hours than to pay like $30 for 2 hours in a movie theater, right? And $30 if it's just you alone. If you go with someone else, or if you go with a family, or it may be get up to $100. So yeah, that's true. Just because there's a recession doesn't. Okay.
recession doesn't mean you won't go to the movie theater or go to your favorite artist concert.
Well, that contradicts what I just said. What actually happened? People did buy games, but there's a reason why they bought games, and that was one of the reasons.
Quality games will continue to sell. Now, look, inflation is a thing. It is inevitable that as the years go by, as long as inflation continues to exist, game prices will eventually keep going up in price point at a base level.
That's inevitable.
But in terms of the justification behind that, I think it really does depend on a game-to-game basis. If we're talking,
yes, that's what I'm saying, and I'm happy you landed there.
Talking about campaign-driven, story-driven, single-player games, or just any kind of interactive experience that doesn't rely on monetization tactics and schemes, that is high budget enough to justify that price increase, and they deliver on something truly high quality that isn't compromised by shady monetization tactics, and it does offer enough content where the value is there, even with the increased price point, then people are willing to overlook that stuff. But when we're talking about games like...
People are willing to overlook that stuff. I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say it that way. 'Cause even though he's probably right, I wouldn't position myself as if I'm speaking for everyone else. I would say something along the lines, I think that would be a better way. Or I think, in my opinion, gamers would like that more. But I wouldn't say it in a way that I'm kind of speaking for everyone else.
Like NBA 2K, which in many ways kickstarted the move from $60 to $70 AAA games. That's a game that is very much a live service, rife with monetization elements. where it's a lot harder to justify that price increase, because in a way the price did increase for that game even before games went from $60 to $70, because of all the different editions that they sell that are at higher price points and that lock certain things and elements and content and a currency behind those higher editions. And then beyond that, there are the microtransactions and loot boxes that if you don't engage with them, you're going to have a much harder time being competitive, especially in multiplayer. And there are plenty of games that are like that who are saying, boo hoo, games are so expensive to make now, but then will engage in tactics that essentially take content, strip content from a game, or compromise the gameplay loop for the sake of manipulating players into having to spend money to have a more ideal experience. And so in that way, prices have gone up. Games have become significantly more expensive to engage at an ideal level. And it's not as if publishers are going to increase the base price of games to $80 to $100 and then pull back on the monetization now that they're able to sell games at a higher price point. No, they're going to just, they want their cake and eat it too. They want to increase their games to $80 and $100 and also continue to employ monetization elements to generate the maximum amount of profit.
Okay. Several things. First, he started talking about how NBA 2K is kind of a live service, and then you have to pay full price for that game, and then they have monetization within the game that makes it that you, quote unquote, as a gamer, have to spend more money to actually make the game ideal. There are many things here that I want to say. Yes, I agree. If a game, I am on the boat. I am on a boat in which I think that if it's a live service that has a monetization system, I think that especially 2K, that NBA 2K that comes out every year, I think that game should be free. Now, there are lots of things that I don't know about, because they have licenses from the NBA. All of the players have to, I don't know how those licenses work. Essentially, I just don't know, because I've played 2K and I see how there are teams that don't have all the players, for example, because there was one player who didn't want to sign or whatever happened. Legally, they cannot have the player there. So there are a lot of costs in terms of making the game be like the NBA game. Have all the teams, all the players, all the updated things with their movements, with their likeness, with their logos, with their courts, with everything. All of that, I'm pretty sure they have to pay the NBA a lot of money, right? Does that justify the fact that they come out with a game every year and pay and ask for a full price every year? I don't know. I really don't know. Now, in this example, let's say they don't. And let's say this is just another live service game. I think live service games should be free. Like, in my opinion, Destiny 2, for example, should be a free-to-play game. Or at least or at least have the game now, like maybe the current expansion be, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 bucks, and then all the previous expansions free. That would be my take on live service. I think most games that are live service should be free. Like Diablo 4, I'm a Diablo 4 player. I think by now Diablo 4 should be a free game and people should only pay for the latest expansion. And then the upcoming expansion should include the previous expansion. That's how I think. Now, the economics of it, I don't know. I don't know if that's feasible. I don't know if that's, will be profitable, but I think it would. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Now, that's where I'm at. Thing is that something else happens. And is that, yeah, 2K does this every year. they release the game, it's full price, and then they have a monetization system. Now, I wouldn't say it's shady. I wouldn't say the monetization system is shady. I would say that is a monetization system. It's not shady. It's in your face. It's there. It's telling you why, when, what to do. It's not lying. It's just there. Is it fair or unfair? I mean, that's on everyone's, you know, criteria to determine. What I could say is this is happening. Young Yeah doesn't like it. I don't like it either. But it's there. And people are paying for it. People are paying the full price of the game, and people are paying all of the all of the microtransactions, and they're paying for it. And there's nothing shady about it. And that's where I say that this conversation should, at least this specific point, it's on the players, it's on the gamers, because, and that's why I wouldn't, that's why I mentioned before that I wouldn't say that I represent everyone else, because Young Yeah here talks as if he represents all gamers in his opinion. And he obviously doesn't represent all gamers, because 2K has its audience. And obviously they're willing to pay for the game every year. And obviously they're willing to pay for the microtransactions if those are mandatory to you know, to whatever, to be able to play it or whatever. They obviously are okay with it. Now, does that help us? Is that good for us, rest of gamers who don't want to pay for that? Or no, that's not good. But that's how things work. You know, it's gamers wokeness, in my opinion. It's a very vocal and loud minority here that is screaming because there is, you know, a game that comes out every year for $70 and it's actually the same game every year. We are a very vocal minority, and it's just how it is. It's gamers wokeness, I think. And the other part, I forgot about. There's another point that he said here.
No, they're gonna just, you know, they want their
Oh
cake
yeah,
and eat
this
it too. They want to.
This accusation. I wouldn't do an accusation like this. I wouldn't do an accusation like this. Like, to be fair, yes, they want to maximize profits. Of course, every company will want to maximize profits. Do they do it in an unfair way? I don't think so. They just give you the option. Now, I'm not going to speak for 2K because I'm not very familiar with the microtransaction scheme, monetization scheme that they have. But I could speak for, I don't know, Diablo 4, for example. The season pass and the cosmetics there, everybody complains about that, but it's just there as an option. They're not forcing me to pay for it. I've never paid for it. I've played Diablo 4 since day one, and I've never paid for the season pass, and I've never gone to the shop to buy a piece of cosmetic. It's an option there. They're not forcing me to do it. And of course, they're gonna put, if it means that they're gonna maximize profits. I mean, it's a company like Young Yeah, my friend. Why did you make these videos? Why do you make a video about every single hot conversation on the internet? Because you want to maximize your profits. If you don't feel that a video will make you money, you wouldn't do it. but you will do what makes money for you, right? And you will take any headline and misconstrue it towards your video to make money. Same thing, companies. Now, is that good? I don't know. No. I mean, but my point here is like, I have the option. Let's not speak as if I'm forced. I'm being forced to play the game, and I'm being forced to pay these microtransactions. I'm not forced to it. They're just there. They're put on a table. It's like when I go to a restaurant and I see a menu, I don't think that I'm forced. Like, really, do I have to pay $10,000 in order to try everything in this menu? No, it's a menu, and I pick one thing or two to eat and move on. That's how I see it. Play.
Increase their games to $80 and $100 and also continue to employ monetization elements to generate the maximum amount of profit.
That's on us. If we continue paying for that and making their profits that way, then it's on us. The day that those monetization schemes don't work for them, they will take it out. I guarantee
putting
it.
out the excuse that games are too expensive to make and games prices haven't gone up in so long, when they technically have, when you consider all the different monetization tactics that do make games more expensive if you want to have sort of the maximum amount of fun with those games and experience.
Oh my god, what is he talking about? Okay. And maybe he's right. Maybe I'm the one who hasn't played 2K enough. I mean, I've had 2K 2020 for, and I've had several 2Ks. I've never paid. I've had so much fun in those games, and I've never paid for a microtransaction. But that's fine. Maybe I'm wrong.
The maximum amount of content. So yeah, in those scenarios where games have such aggressive monetization elements, people are going to be a lot less lenient about seeing those price increases, even with inflation, because games have experienced price inflation through other forms beyond the base price point.
Most games that had very aggressive monetization systems are the free-to-play games. Let's be clear on that. Those are the games that have like free-to-play, like pay-to-win, like Diablo Immortal, and all those type of games. Like was it Underworld? Was it that? Is that the name of that game? Underworld, I think. I think Black Desert at some point had a lot of pay to win stuff. Lost Ark maybe, but those are free to play games. That's a different conversation.
So I think that's where the line is drawn. That's where the delineation is at in terms of games where maybe people can overlook price increases versus games that, I mean, are already trying to milk your wallet. It should also be highlighted that game prices can vary even on a AAA scale. For example, recently, Microsoft and Xbox announced that Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 will cost just $50 instead of $60 or $70. It'll also be a digital-only release, which might disappoint some. But $50 for this game is a pretty good price point, and they adjusted that because this is going to be a similar length to the predecessor, so roughly like 8 hours to complete the game, which is more than the $70 Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign experience, but it's not, say, like a 20-hour to 40-hour more fleshed out AAA game experience. It's a shorter experience, one that's very, artsy and cinematic and all these things, but recognizing that people will look at things in terms of value, they decided to put the price point a little lower than the $70 standard right now, which is, I think, a very admirable move. And I think there's room for different games to have different price points based on their offering, based on its quality, the budget, the amount of hours that is on offer, and how high in quality those hours are. But I predict that most publishers will just take advantage of a high.
I mean, he says something good, and then he comes with an accusation, based accusation. But here's one thing that that comes to mind with this Senua's Saga topic is that yes, and Alan Wake 2 was $50, but was only for the digital release on Epic Store. And then this game is just going to be $50 and it's going to be digital only. Now, this opens another can of worms, and it's ownership. This is another issue now, and it's about ownership. So, if it's digital only, do you actually own the game? That's a question. It's no physical media, so if we talk about physical media, then yes, of course. If it was physical, then you buy the physical disc, it's yours, it's fine. But being digital only, and let's be clear, I'm not talking about subscription like Game Pass or something like that. I'm talking about digital only. Let's say I got it from Steam. Do I really own it? Because if Steam goes out tomorrow, I can't download the game. It's not mine anymore. And I'm not talking about Game Pass, the subscription, which is going to be day one on Game Pass. Yeah, if Game Pass fails and goes offline, then I don't own any of the games. Now, that's a different thing because when I pay for a subscription, I'm paying for access to games, not paying for ownership of games. But even if we're talking about Steam, do you really own the games? It's a question. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that's going to be disappointed about that also. So it seems like there's no winning team here. But yeah, I mean, if having a digital only game would reduce the cost of gaming distribution, therefore reduce the cost of the game, that's cool. I'm good with that. The whole physical media for me, even though I support it because I understand people who want to own the games. But yeah, the digital only thing, it's okay with me. I mean, Senua's Saga, it seems to be also the smaller game. What he says, it's a smaller game, it's shorter, and all of that. That's fine. But Alan Wake isn't small, and it was $50 on the Epic Store as a digital release. So let's see what happens with that.
High in quality those hours are, but I predict that most publishers will just take advantage of a higher ceiling of base price points for games to just make more money rather than to try to make their games better by reducing monetization elements now that game prices are able to make.
So that's an accusation there without any
games to just make more money.
Wait.
Rather high in quality those, the budget and the amount of hours that is on offer and how high in quality those hours are. But
I don't care the amount of hours in a game. I think we should stop giving value to games based on the amount of hours. It's about the quality of those hours. Like I don't know if he corrected himself, but he added.
Predict that most publishers will just take advantage of a higher ceiling.
Yeah, we have an accusation here that it's completely unnecessary again.
Of base price points for games.
It's just a bias that he communicates and convinces so many people of his own bias. Okay.
To just make more money rather than to try to make their games better by reducing monetization elements.
Now, in his defense against myself, there's a lot of companies that would compromise the quality of a game for profits. That's completely true. I mean, if we could say, then he's right that historically, anecdotally, I don't know how to say that word, but I think you understand. We could say we could say that there's a potential truth there, but again, I want to see the facts.
Now that game prices are able to maybe make up for some of the development costs or anything like that, it's just an extra layer of monetization that they can excuse if that becomes normalized. And so that's where my fears lie, and that's where I think games may very well start to become too expensive if freaking $100 becomes normalized for game releases and purchases. And there's also...
Well, I wonder Because there's an interesting tension between gamers and publishers slash developers. Is that we gamers we always want more in our games. We want better graphics, we want more music, we want more content, we want more quality hours, we want more hours, we want bigger games, we want more systems, we want more options in games. We always want more. We, in our demands, actually are the ones increasing the prices in games. I mean, we're somewhat responsible, I would say. If I would, as a marketer, if I were a CMO at a gaming company or a publisher, I think I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the data. That actually gamers are in part responsible of the price increase in games because of our demands. Like, let's take, for example, Assassin's Creed. The Mirage, it had decent reviews, but it faced a lot of negative conversation because it was a short game, it was too short, it was too simple. But it was a $50 game. I didn't hear a lot of that conversation. It was a $50 game. And but then people complained of how simple and small that game was. So, and here's another question. Like the one I put at the beginning. Here's another question. Are we willing to take smaller games with less, production value, less graphics, less, less everything, less hours, not open worlds, more linear games, more, without 10,000 systems, one on top of each other to give you unlimited options of how you can do things and all that crap that, to be honest, just make games bad, in my opinion. But that's an opinion. Will we gamers be willing to take smaller games? Like, for example, I'm so happy that Ubisoft did Immortal Phoenix Rising. I'm so happy that they did that game. It's a smaller scale game, it's a simpler game, but it was a great game. And what happened was that they had to cancel the sequel. I'm assuming because they probably didn't meet expectations, meet sales, meet numbers. Now, then that put against Valhalla, which many gamers complain about, and it doesn't have the best reviews ever. I'm pretty sure that Valhalla did much more, but it was bigger, that offers many hours. What I'm trying to say is, are we willing to take smaller games from these AAA studios? I'm so happy that Ubisoft did Lost Crown, Prince of Persia Lost Crown. It really feels like an indie game. Like, there's nothing in that game that feels AAA, and it was done by Ubisoft. Now, I'm so happy they did it, and it's a $50 game. Are we willing to take those smaller experiences instead of this big games, bloated games that we actually asked for? Because let's remember, these companies have data. These companies have data. And we also have the internet. How people reacted to Spider-Man being shorter and smaller in scale. Spider-Man 2. You know what I mean? Are we willing to take smaller projects, smaller experiences, shorter, for better prices, or are we going to keep pushing developers and and publishers to make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, more ambitious games? I think it's on both parts. It's a tango. Um, and of course, the gaming industry leads the dance, but or do they? I'm not sure who leads that dance. That's an interesting question. Let me know in the comments below. Are you willing to take smaller experiences like Mirage over Valhalla? Um, for better quality hours and also better pricing, or no? Or are you just asking for bigger, better experiences for lower prices? Let me know in the comments below. And again, in all of this, I could be completely wrong, and that's fine. If you want to, go ahead and politely, let's have a conversation, a polite conversation in the comments below. I could be wrong. That's fine. And my other question is, who do you think leads the dance between gamers and the gaming industry, meaning publishers and developers? Who leads the dance? Is it us with our money, with our pockets, or is it them with their demands and prices and monetization systems? Let me know in the comments below.
Also a case to be made about game development budgets becoming too inflated and games becoming too complex and complicated. And it's like there have to be efficiencies there that can help the budget so that we, the customers, don't have to suffer for it. Like going to what Capcom's president said here, considering the fact that wages are rising in the industry as a whole, I think raising unit prices is a healthy option for business. That's putting the onus of good business on charging customers more rather than trying to find more efficiencies in spending money better in your business, the way you run things as a company. Maybe cut some CEO salaries for one, and maybe
I kind of agree with this. But I don't. Again, there's a certainty here on how my friend Young Yeah expresses it. Is that his name? Young Yeah. I'm sorry. Expresses himself. Like there's this crazy certainty in which he says something. Again, if I were assuming the position of a journalist like he is, I wouldn't speak with that certainty. I don't know. I don't really know. Now, I do have to agree, based on experience. Let me talk on my experience, and what I know is that a lot of companies. I work in the advertising industry. I don't work in the gaming industry. I wish my dream job is to work as a marketer for a video game publisher slash development company. But I work in marketing, regular marketing, product marketing, I guess. What I'm trying to say, based on my experience, yes, a lot of companies that I've worked for have so many inefficiencies, and what they do to cover for those inefficiencies is just spend more money unnecessarily on trying to patch that inefficiency, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens across the board in every single industry, including the gaming industry. So that's that. Yes, I agree. Maybe, there's an inefficiency in some department, technical department in video games, maybe the QA process, in whatever process. And instead of fixing it, they just patch it with spending more money, hiring more unnecessary people to kind of patch that. And then, layoffs happen, then they spent more money on the game, so now their ROI, it's a little bit farther away because now they spend more and they have to, the revenue or the profits are later in the game because they have to make up for more money. So I get it. So I do agree a little bit, not in how he communicates that idea, but in the fundamentals of that idea and the essence of that idea. I do agree. There's probably a lot of inefficiencies that the gaming industry has to fix. I agree. And marketing is actually one. We've seen the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad has had the worst marketing campaign ever. It's been super bad. And they're probably spending so much money on that. So to make up for all that money that they have spent in trying to fix the bad PR that they're getting, and trying to, do everything that they're doing, horribly doing, that to make up that money as ROI, then they will have to, I don't know. It's farther away, that line, I guess.
Use the budget of games and don't try to make something so high skill on a level that maybe you can't afford. And I know that's easy.
Yeah, but that's my question, and that's why I posed that question before. Do you think it's us who are asking for that, the gamers? Or do you think it's just them trying to be ambitious? Who's leading that dance? Let me know in the comments below.
Easier said than done. I don't know enough about the complexities of game development to tell you how to.
I mean, come on, Yanya. I'm sorry. This I don't like. After all the accusations that you've made, you come to be humble and say, well, I don't know enough about video games development. I don't know what I'm talking about. These are just thoughts. I'm not gonna say you have bad intentions. The guy has bad intention, young, yeah. But I wouldn't. I just don't agree this is the right way to approach this topic. Especially, I'm gonna repeat myself so many times with this. Especially if you're taking the role of a journalist here. It's not the way. You've been. I mean, this video is already like 1 hour and a half, and it's only a 60-minute video. There's so much I've talked, but you spent 13 minutes making accusations after accusations and landing on conclusions to then say, I don't know enough about this. I don't know enough about game development. It's maybe then you shouldn't be so loud and make such accusations, or at least present your ideas not as accusations or without this certainty of, that you're sure this is what's happening. Maybe just present your ideas and your concerns as questions, as food for thought. Ask your audience, what do they think? I don't know. Give different possibilities of what things could mean. But really, when you just land in an accusation that, developers and publishers just want to milk your pockets, and they don't want, I don't know, I don't remember type of accusations. I was just coming up with something here like, oh, they don't want you to have fun, they just want to milk your pockets. When you, at least to me, when you come up with those conclusions and accusations without any fact or proof or anything, it's just your feelings, you've really come across as unauthentic. You've really come across as, let me just say what the internet wants to hear, right? And it's that big corporations are your enemy and they just want to, be bad. So I can make my own profits, so I can make my own clicks, so I can monetize my videos, so I can get a lot of views. Now, your morale, where is your morality here? When you make accusations of companies that they just want to make more money, and you create content intentionally to make more money, even though the content is toxic, is negative, doesn't help, and it is not substantiated by nothing other than your feelings, and cherry picks on certain articles here and there.
Make spending budgets on games more efficient. But clearly things are becoming so overinflated that, a lot of people are wondering, is this even sustainable? Don't we have to like dial things back a little bit and maybe look a little introspectively as an industry to gauge what is healthy for the industry? And
I think the industry is doing that. I think they will always do it because, again, for us to get the games, they have to be profitable. They cannot make games at a loss. Otherwise, we're not getting games. There wouldn't be a gaming industry. So I do think the gaming industry does that. And they did it for a long time, where you mentioned in this video that we had games for $60 for several generations. I think that was good for us. And now there's a price increase. Yeah, we don't like it, but maybe it's fair. And maybe what you're saying, the industry is already doing it. Maybe not. And I agree with that. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being I'm okay with being in the middle, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not on the side that they're evil. I'm not on the side that they're good. I'm in the middle and trying to be critical and be smart about what I'm saying, right? There's a probability that the gaming industry is doing exactly what you just said. This.
sustainable. Don't we have to like dial things back a little bit and maybe look a little introspectively as an industry to gauge what is healthy for the industry?
What makes you think that the industry isn't doing that already? Maybe they're not, but you haven't shown any fact, any evidence, anything substantial to claim that that isn't happening. That's my point. And when you're going to make an accusation of the contrary, of the opposite is happening, I need, and I would like the audience to, instead of just swallow that pill and say, oh, Yonye said this, okay, this is what's happening. All I want is for people to be critical and to ask for the actual proof and substance about that statement / accusation / judgment / conclusion.
And that's on you as business, as corporations, as game development companies to look into that as well.
There probably are. There probably are, and be careful what you ask for, because if they haven't done it and they look at this video, watch this video and start doing it, and then realize that actually the healthiest thing that the gaming industry can do now is actually raise the price to $80. It doesn't mean the fact that gamers are not going to like it does not mean that isn't the healthiest thing that could happen to the industry. So be careful what you ask for, Yonye.
By increasing unit prices and stuff and relying solely on that to make up for maybe potentially your failures on running a business more financially efficiently. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been seeing more and more companies trickle in with, plots to employ $100 price the AAA games.
No, I don't think so. I think he's being sensationalist. I think he is exploiting some like a tweet from a guy, whoever that was, saying something about Sony, and then that survey from Activision Blizzard, and that's it. And not even him, not even his, he wasn't the one who got the survey. He wasn't the one who actually, did the investigation. He's just repeating whatever he saw in a tweet or in another YouTube video. So is that evidence? Is that substance? That's everything there could be true. I'm not saying that it is not. The problem is here that all of that is presented here with a certainty that it's a certainty that the worst thing is what's happening. And that's what bothers me. Because then everyone becomes very reactive And when everyone becomes very reactive, it turns into a PR nightmare for the publisher slash developer with something that probably isn't even true. And what that ends up resulting in is in people not buying the games, and people hating the companies, hating the games, hating the developers, and then ultimately us gamers cannibalizing ourselves because then we stop getting games.
I'm contemplating, where that may or may not be justified, how long it might take to get there, and what that might mean for the future of gaming. And I figure I'd just put this video out there to prepare you for that potential possibility that is not defined, but is definitely being discussed behind the scenes and may happen in less years than anticipated or than you might think. And again, on some level, it's already kind of happened with the different editions that can be $100 plus, but base price being $100, and then like deluxe editions and gold editions and whatever being even higher price points. Like eventually, like that starts to become quite expensive, and I don't know how much you can push on that front before people start.
They're gonna test the waters. They're not gonna do it just out of thin air. They're gonna test the waters. They're already testing the water with $70, and they're realizing that people are paying $70 for the games. Okay. And they're gonna test the waters. If we get to a point where people are not buying the games and sales are going down, they will hold back. They will say, "Oh wait, okay, let's go back to $70. Let's go back to $60 or whatever." That's how market works. That's how everything works. So it's not only on them. If they increase the price for $100 for a game, we are also in that dance, because if we buy the game for $100, then they're proven right. And that's why then everyone else will buy the games for $100. But again, we are not being forced to buy the games for $100. We're not being forced. We have our position also as consumers to prove them right or wrong. And that's how it is. My issue also is like we speak as if, like I said before, oh, now I have to pay more to play the game that I want to play. Or no, I don't think that's the way. Like, oh, now I have to pay $100 to play GTA 6. I have an option. I'm not being forced to play that game. I'm not being forced to play it day one. I'm not being forced to pre-purchase it. I'm not being forced to pay for the premium bundle or the gold edition. I have GTA 5. I don't play GTA 5. But I have GTA 5. Why? Because I got it when Epic gave it for free. And that's my biggest concern. Not concern, it bothers me that we speak as if we are being forced to pay for whatever price tag they put on games. And no, we're not being forced to pay. I think that's a better way to put it. I don't think I put it in the right way before, actually. It's not about, oh, now I have to play the game for $100. It's just that they put a price tag, and it's up to us to pay for it or not. We're not being forced to play it or to buy anything at any price. We don't. That's why monopolies are illegal. because I shouldn't be forced. If I want to pay for my cell phone, I shouldn't be forced to pay, $100 for the service, or to a single company, right? I have options. Same with games. Unfortunately, it's a different thing, but it's same with games. I don't have to pay the $15 subscription for WoW. Why? Because if I want to play MMOs, if I have to play an MMO, I have many options. I have many options. I could pay the $15 for WoW, but I could pay. I could do a free to play with Lost Ark. Now, all of them will have their own system of monetization, whether it's a subscription or purchasing the expansion or microtransactions or whatever. All of them are going to have their own monetization because ultimately they all have to make money. Nothing's going to be for free, unfortunately. But you have options. And we also have our part to do.
Start to buy games less. Though again, something like GTA 6 comes along and people buy it no matter what. So who knows? Maybe companies will get away with it in a way that isn't justified, and that would be unfortunate.
Companies are not going to get away with it. People are going to pay for it, and that's a different thing.
But I don't know. It's a lot of it is speculation right now, but just wanted to put forth the possibility for you to prepare in case this does become the inevitable future.
It is inevitable.
Not so many years down the line.
It is inevitable. I wouldn't say it's going to happen in 2027, but it's inevitable. Maybe by 2030, we will have to be paying like more than $70 for games, especially if the games continue being bigger, continue being more expensive to make, right? And actually the industry started growing. Before games were made by two people in a garage. Now there are multi-billion-dollar companies. And now, before, developing games was a hobby. Now gaming development, it's a career, and you want to build your career. You want, professionals want to make money to sustain their families. I mean, the same way that an an employee at a finance company needs to, due to his profession, his titles, whatever, his experience, his resume, wants to make or has to make $200,000 a year for the job that he does. $100,000 a year, $150 a year, $90,000 a year, whatever it is. Gamers have to also, have a career. And unfortunately, those positions are big, and some of, companies have to spend a lot of money in the careers of people. And as the industry has grown to be a multi-billion-dollar industry, that has evolved too. The careers, the people, what needs to be paid for the development of these games. And let's just finish.
But I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are.
I already gave you an hour and a half of my thought and opinions.
And when you might find price point hikes for the base price of games acceptable, and what conditions.
For me, it's the type of game. For me, it's what the game, and he mentions that, and I grateful. I'm okay with that. I agree with that. I think that it all depends on the type of game it is, the scale of the game. Like when I see games from Nintendo, for example, Nintendo is expert. They're experts on making very low production games, in a sense, like their graphics are not very, their tech is very simple. Their graphics are not like realistic graphics, like, like these big AAA games. They don't have a lot of acting. Like you play a Zelda and the voice acting, everything is not voiced. A lot of stuff are like just text. Graphics are very minimal. I mean, everything looks good because the art direction is exceptional, but you know what I mean. The production of it doesn't look like a very high end things, but they managed to make such great game design. Their game designs compensate the production value, quote unquote, of the game. And that's what the gaming industry needs to maybe take into account is spend less in the actual production value of the game, in the actual production of the game, and spend more in the game design. Um and I think that could be something, but I don't know. Still, Nintendo sells their game at $70, and they never go on sale. They never go on sale. So I could be completely wrong and um, completely
Publishers would
off.
have to meet for that to be acceptable versus those scenarios where maybe that isn't justified. I've shared my take. Share yours in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news,
Yeah,
reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out. Let's
that outro is kind of cringy, but that's fine. That's him. Let's do a like. Yeah, let's do a like. Even though I don't like his take, but it's okay. It's fine. Everybody is entitled to their. What I would say is, um, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not against everything here. What I'm against is misinformation, and what I am against is how these ideas are presented. I don't think there are facts. I don't think there's substance to them. I don't think he's an expert, and he actually stated that. But he presents himself as someone who represents gamers, and I just don't think that's a good thing here, and I don't take it as him representing my thoughts and what I think about this whole thing. A lot of accusations without substantiation, just feelings, and it really feels unauthentic in a sense that it's just for clicks. Honestly, when you present it that way, I think he just wants to throw some um in Spanish we say leña al fuego, which I'm not sure how that is translates, but he just wants to put more, let's say, gas on a fire, in order to get clicks and views, and obviously more money for his videos, which makes me question his morale because he actually accuses publishers of doing the same thing. But yeah, that's just one man's opinion, my opinion. But let me know. I let me know in the comments. I asked some questions that I would like answers in the comments below. I would be very grateful if you answer. Don't forget to click on like and subscribe if you want, and share. I know this is a very long video, and no, most people are not gonna spend 2 hours of their lives watching this video. But hey, I have my purpose, I guess. Yeah, talk to you later. Young, yeah. I'm sorry. Don't take this personal. I love you, man. Take it easy.